Hi guys, which nomination day speech was your favorite? We're gonna analyze a few nomination day speeches today, and I'm very excited to have a look and see which ones stand out, which ones we can learn from to become better speakers, more confident. Now, quick disclaimer after our first video that got some attention, especially on TikTok. I want to preface here that we are coming from the space of learning. So this is educational, and we're going to be covering several candidates from the different parties here during Singapore's general election nomination day. And the intent here is to learn from their persuasive buy-in speaking skills so that we can apply it in our work when we want to apply for a job, in an interview, or even when we want to speak up. Especially people who are leaders, people who are C-suites, if you want to get ahead, if you want to get noticed, if you want to command presence, if you want to communicate value to a large audience, especially if you want to galvanize, you want to make people feel something, these are some of the speeches that we can learn from. So the intent here is to learn. So let's preface that here. So the first video is from Pritam Singh himself. So we're going to analyze Pritam Singh's nomination day speech. Let's have a look.
Residents of Al Junaid GRC, in 2011.
All right, just off the bat, the energy is through the roof. You notice his voice, he escalates and ascends his voice upwards. So it's residents of Al Junaid GRC. You notice? So there is a prolongation of the way that he drags the words, and it's towards an upward movement. Now, the voice itself is powerful. It's a great way to capture attention. Obviously, you know that he's going to come in with powerful statements and he's going to bring the energy up. Just watch how he has a fist on his left hand. So the fist is a great gesture to show you that they command presence and control. So if you lack this thing called stage presence, or what we call executive presence for those speaking in a boardroom, for C-suites executives, a clenched fist and even a pointed finger are one of the subtle cues you can use. Obviously, it's not a in-your-face kind of pointed finger or command fist, but it's peppered throughout your speaking, right? So it's not in your face, but very subtle cues. Okay, let's move on.
You took a leap of faith with us and elected us into Parliament. In 2015 and 2020, you did it again.
You took a leap of faith with us. Do you notice that? That projection of the voice is one of the things that stood out so far in his speech. You took a leap of faith with us. So he projects it from his diaphragm. So obviously, he's been trained. He has done this before. This is not his first rodeo. So Pritam Singh speaks with a lot of gusto, and the voice is really one of his key signature elements of what makes him a persuasive speaker, and says, you took a leap of faith with us. And in 2020, you did it again. You did it again. That did it again part, you notice there's an emphasis on you did it again. And the did it again, you notice the variation in his rate of speech, right? And in 2020, you did it again. The did it again is much more compact and faster in faster cadence compared to the first part. And in 2020, so brilliant so far.
In 2025, we stand before you, ready to serve you and seek your mandate.
So notice now he's in 2025, so he has used what I like to call the zip line introduction. So 2015, 2020, 2025. One of the fastest ways to introduce yourself, and we'll go on to Harpreet did this as well in his introduction, is you zip line the timeline so that people know what you've done in a very short period of time. Especially, you only have a few seconds to several minutes to do this speech.
In Parliament, we have asked the tough questions and worked hard. We have not shied away from asking questions on matters some deem too sensitive. In your estates, you have seen the town improvements and you have seen our 5-year plans. Your estate is as good as any other in Singapore. This elections, let us keep up the momentum and let's have a more...
So he uses the rhetorical device here of the repetition the word in Parliament and in your estates. This is one of the best ways to bring a sense of gravitas, a sense of presence, a sense of poeticism into your speech. You repeat certain phrases at the start and then a new phrase. So there's both novelty, because in Parliament, right, and then in your estates, in Parliament, so the in is being repeated several times. You can do this for a lot of phrases to build the momentum in your speech. And as we go along in Pritam's short speech, you can see the energy is not dwindling down. In fact, it's building up, because he knows how to punctuate the speech with rhetorical devices like repetition.
Balanced Parliament with more voices and credible choices. Vote for the Workers' Party, working for Singapore.
Now notice how he speaks with his eyes. When you zoom into the eyes, you can see there's this kind of determination, there's this kind of resolve that he's not just reading off a script. In fact, he's not holding any pieces of paper in his hands as he's speaking. He has this resolve in his eyes. Now, a lot of people will read your eyes when you're speaking. Either you're giving a speech or in the boardroom or you're pitching a sales deal. They will read the eyes. They will see how much what you're actually saying, and it is through the eyes. If you zoom into the eyes, there's a lot of determination. There's a lot of conviction here. Like, there's that expression that he gives, and that is what kind of sells the idea that he believes in what he's saying. And that's how we bring life to our speech, to pieces of paper, through the eyes. So far, superb. A star here from Pritam Singh. So the next one we're going to analyze is SDP's Secretary General, of course, Dr. Chee Soon Juan. Let's have a look. Look at how he does an entrance. When he comes out, there is a cheer. All right, obviously the crowd is cheering. But if we truly looked at and just analyze that smile on his face, if you zoom into that smile, he is raring to go. Look at that, because he has this, he does this expression. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm raring for a fight. I've been waiting all my life kind of vibes. He comes in, really leaning forward, and then he raises up both of his hands. Now, showing the palms is a universal sign that I am safe, that I appreciate you. So he does this, and he even has this mini lowering of his head. He looks down and he smiles. These are very subtle cues that the person is self-confident, because they are not too anxious thinking about what will other people think, but they're looking at and enjoying the speech itself. They're looking down and see, he has this smile, this wide smile on his face, even before he speaks. Great start so far.
Very good afternoon to our friends and voters of Sembawang West. My name is Chee Soon Juan. I'm the candidate for the SDP.
Now again, just like Pritam, he begins with gusto. Look at the way he elongates or he prolongs the first part. A very good afternoon. That afternoon. Why does he say it that way? He can always say, a very good afternoon, everyone, versus a very good afternoon. So again, the way, when you can elongate certain parts of words, especially towards the end, you bring energy up. That afternoon, it brings a sense of life to it. Obviously, you're not going to overdo it, so he only does it at the start. And look at the way he speaks. So let's study the cadence and just observe how he does it.
And boy, have we got an exciting message for you this elections. We want Singaporeans to live.
And boy, have we got an exciting message to you for these elections. Boy, when he says boy, you notice the hands comes up immediately. So usually synchronicity, when you're in sync, when your hand gestures, your body language, your tonality, what you say, your facial expressions, when everything is in sync, if it's aligned, there is an impression that you are very credible because you mean what you say. So when everything is in sync, it appears that you are truly meaning what you say. When it's in sync, you mean what you say. So he does this really well. A very oh boy, look, and again, the boy, and then the hand gestures go like a short, like bouncing movement like this. Boy. So the timing is perfect.
Live in hope, not fear. To get ahead, not just get by. To thrive.
To live in hope, not fear. To get ahead, not just thrive. Do you see? To live with hope, not fear. Again, right? The last part, not fear. To get ahead, not just get by. And if you notice, I'll even say here out in public that he probably studied Barack Obama. If you take a look at the way he's speaking right now and the way Barack Obama, the US president, speaks during speeches, there are very familiar techniques used. So he probably studied him. I don't know, maybe if I meet him one day I'll ask him. But if you take a look, he follows the energy and the cadence and the gusto of someone very seasoned, right? So pro tip here, if you want to speed up your learning in public speaking, find a mentor that you like, you follow their style, and then as you go along, you'll find your own style, right? Okay, let's move on.
Just get by, to thrive, not just survive. So come, join us in our rallies and vote SDP.
So this is a very awkward pause and a very strange moment. It seems that something got derailed here. It's either, I'm not sure if he was supposed to say something else in the script, but it does seem that there was an awkward pause here. I mean, when there's an intentional pause versus awkward pauses, it's quite telling. How do you know? Well, you saw that he was trying to say one word and then he said something else. He went into speaking Mandarin, 大家好. So I'm not too sure. It is a little bit off from how he began his speech. But let's continue.
我是徐顺全新加坡民主党的候选人，38万西的选民来参加我们的群众大会，记得投民主党的票。Pakcik, makcik, abang, kakak, sokong kami undilah SDP. Vanakkam. Vanakkam, Singapore, Jananaya Kachika, Wagalingal. Thank you very much.
Well, he manages to bounce back from that little bit awkward moment and he still maintained the energy. So I think, again, another A-class act of public speaking here that we've seen so far. In fact, a lot of the speakers we're going to analyze today have these A-star qualities that we all can learn from so that we can apply it whenever we're speaking, when we are on stage, or even if we are about to pitch as a salesperson. We can study some of these body language, vocal variety, and buy-in speaking cues. How to get buy-in and persuade others. So let's analyze the next one, his contender, Miss Po Lisa.
To my dear supporters of Sembawang West and PAP, thank you for coming. Thank you for your...
Look at the hand gesture. My dear supporters of Sembawang, and I've not seen any politician or candidate done this so far in the nomination, and it's amazing. I might have missed the others, but this is interesting body language here. It's all up, hands up, and she does this small twirl and her hands are like this. It's a very interesting, very graceful way of kind of a graceful hand gesture, isn't it? And I think the entire time when she does this, her posture is also quite upright. So she's very confident, self-confident. Again, it's beautiful. She has that smile where she tries to maintain a smile, and it's a very pleasant kind of look, like a dear, right? So that kind of look. The interesting thing is, this time around, she comes out with two of PAP's members right behind her. So it's in stark contrast to Dr. Chi, who only came out alone. So she has two people behind her to support her. And obviously, you know, she is off to a really good start. So let's have a look at what else we can learn from her.
Support. We have done a lot of good work in the last 5 years, and let's do more for Sembawang West for our Chapter 2.
So she says, thank you for your support. We have done a lot of good work in the last 5 years. So she is bringing you down memory lane. Hey, we've done so much work over the last 5 years. Don't you remember? So this is, I mean, obviously if you have the track record, if you have the portfolio, you have the what I like to call the proofs. One of the proofs is your track record proof. What is the body of work? So she's using the rigor proof. They've done a lot of rigorous work over 5 years. So let's go to chapter 2. So she's reminding you, hey, everything for the last 5 years was great, you know, so let's continue doing what we're doing, right? So it's status quo, let's do that and even better.
Please support me.
Notice she's very comfortable with the pauses as they are cheering. She does not rush into her script again. In fact, she's not holding any script. Amazing. She's not holding any script. She allows them to laugh and clap and applause and cheer. And she is comfortable with that. And that's great. That's a mark of a great speaker, where you allow the audience to enjoy your speech. So she's very comfortable with that. She lets them enjoy the speech and then she continues. Very important point.
And vote for me. Vote for PAP. 请大家支持我，支持人民行动党。
Now from one hand, she comes up with two, and then she continues with this really, like, wow, like this is an interesting gesture because it's really like a grand gesture almost, right? Like grand gesture. And again, I think she carries herself with a lot of poise. That's something that stands out a lot. Always having a pleasant smile on her face as she's speaking. Again, class act.
Saya Undila PAP. Majulah Sembawang West. Majulah.
She speaks Malay. Again, plus point for her Malay voters. Some Malay voters will appreciate the fact that she took the time to study the language. At the very least, just several words of greeting. So yeah, she took the effort. And then notice this word. She used the slogan Majulah Sembawang West. Majulah PAP. Majulah is a term used in nation building. Majulah Singapura. That's our national anthem. Majulah Singapura. So she uses the term Majulah Sembawang West. Majulah PAP. Now, this is a very clever rhetorical device. It's a very clever tool. You repeat again, repetition of the word Majulah, which is very closely linked with our identity of nation building. Majulah Singapore, our national anthem itself. And then she links it with Sembawang West. She repeats that same word with Sembawang West and she repeats it with PAP. Now this is what we call association. You're trying to build identity through associating several words together. Because if you believe in nation building, and what is a better example of nation building than anthem itself and its familiar term, Majulah, and then you link it to your GRC and then you link it to your party's name. So people remember the name and you associate. If you associate words together and you repeat it again and again, it drills into people's psyche. That's a technique people use to repeat and associate words again and again and again. And it becomes talking points. So amazing. She's very smart. I'm not sure if she had a script writer for this, but it's very on point, it's short and very concise. Let's go to the next speaker. We're going to analyze Hazlina, a new candidate for PAP at East Coast GRC. Let's have a look.
Hello everyone. I'm Haz from...
Right off the bat, man, these speakers are great. Before she begins, people are already cheering, because Minister Edwin Tong has already given his speech and now he handed it over to Hazlina, and she did not rush into, hi everybody, my name is Hazlina and I'm here. No. Again, the way to control the crowd is to almost control time. When you pause and you wait and you let people see you and revel in you before you speak, it builds a sense of bravado, a sense of gravitas. And when she does speak, what does she say? Hello everyone. Again, the smile. She's done this before. She's experienced in this and she says, hello everyone. Alright?
From the PAP. I seek your support and hope to journey and serve you and your families into the next chapter of our lives.
I seek your support, right? And good enunciation, good diction, and then next chapter of our lives, smile again. So short, punchy terms, and then smile. and she allows people to enjoy the speech. They're cheering. She even claps, right? So a mini clap there. Continue clapping, right? So it's a great start so far.
Saya Hazlina Abdul Halim memohon peluang berkhidmat, berbakti, mendekati anda sekeluarga demi Singapura, demi masa depan kita. Bagai serai, kita serumpun. Bagai sirih, kita sesusun.
Now, I've not seen many people use this technique, and she does it extremely well, and that is the use of sound bites. One of the best ways to become remembered as a leader, as a speaker, as a salesperson is to have sound bites. What are sound bites? Sound bites are catchphrases. It allows people to remember what you stand for, who you are. In essence, it tries to encapsulate everything into several words. So she decides to use a Malay idiom, and she's very clever because a recent hit song for Hari Raya came out. It's called Serumpun by Mimi Fly, and it has those same words. So she repeats it again, and this is genius if you think about it, because if my voters, if my audience already loves this song, they know the lyrics really well, I'm gonna quote unquote use inception techniques. And I talk about the movie Inception. She planted the idea in their head. I'm gonna write on what they already are familiar with and they love, and then I'm just gonna edit it and link it and associate it with me and my speech and my party, what I stand for, by association. Again, I mean, it's a slippery slope if you think about it, but this is how it's done, right? Genius use of the catchphrase. So she's really smart. She's really clever. She probably wrote it down. She probably had a good think through. Again, carries herself with poise, smile on her face, allows herself to enjoy the speech, allows the audience to enjoy the speech. Class act, another A speaker here for nomination day. Let's look at the next speaker. This will be, yes, Senior Counsel Harpreet Singh. Let's see what he does.
My fellow Singaporeans, it is so good to see you.
Now, again, if you take a look, similar techniques used by Pritam. My fellow Singaporeans, it's so good to see you. This time round, he has his left hand coming out, and if you notice, he's using a power gesture move. It is the pointed finger. Again, it's not like in your face, but somewhere else, pointing up. It's so good to see you. Short and sharp movements help you build executive presence immediately when done properly, right? And he does that from the get-go. You know he means business. You know he has the gusto and the energy because of that movement. And typically, people who have more what we call executive presence, they're very comfortable with taking up space, right? He's not doing it this way. He's doing it this way. Look at his hand is really outstretched and this way. So this is someone who's very comfortable with the stage. He's not someone nervous at all, and he's not someone, I mean, he might be nervous on the inside. I don't know. Maybe if I meet him, I can ask him. But you can obviously see that he is excited and he's raring to go. Let's continue.
You are here because you care for Singapore and want it to be better, and you know it can be better.
Again, anaphora, a speaking technique, the repetition of the word you, right? You know it can be better and you want it to be better, so he repeats the word you 3 times in sequence. So again, it builds poeticism, it builds momentum in his speech, and bravado and gravitas.
Far greater affordability, a better education system, proper retirement security, a fairer politics where the People's Association starts treating every Singaporean equally, no matter how you vote.
Now that was like a 1, 2, 3 punch and then a hook. So what he's doing is he's being very punchy with what he wants to stand for in terms of his policies. Obviously, for the purposes of this video, we're not going to politics or the policies. We're going to public speaking skills. So it's very smart to put what you stand for one after the other. So this policy, this policy, this is what I stand for, this one. So when voters hear your speech in one sitting, I know what you stand for, I know what you believe in, and that's what people want. People want someone that can enunciate and communicate what they believe in. And if I resonate with what you believe in, then I believe in it too, because then we have alignment. So he's doing it really well. Look at this part. This time around, he has a script. When I analyzed, I was looking through his introduction during the panel. He had a script too, but he didn't refer to it as much as this one. But look at what he does in spite of having a script.
After all, it's our money, right? And a parliament where your voice is heard, not just yes men. The Workers' Party is ready to lead that change.
Well, despite it being a written script, I think he's doing a really good job of bringing it to life. That's amazing, because there are many times we want to speak in front of an audience, a crowd, we write it down, and some of the best speeches are written down, but it feels so dead inside. Why? Because of the way you use your voice. The way you use your voice matters. And so far, all of them are very trained to use their voice to kind of like use a variety of techniques. There's intonation, right? Sometimes they bring a lot of gusto and energy using the diaphragm. Sometimes they bring it down. Right? The way I like to describe it is, imagine if you are at the hospital and you go for the EKG exam, the heartbeat, right? Teet, teet. So the waves go this way, right? So someone alive would be teet, 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 correct? These would be the waves. But if someone has deceased, then it will be a straight line. Teet. And the same goes with the way that you speak. The moment you become very predictable, and I can predict where it's going, then it becomes kind of boring. People don't really become engaged, right? So using your voice in a way where you keep them on their toes, it does pull them in.
Punggol GRC voters, it is the privilege of a lifetime for Alexis, Alia, Jackson and I to step up and run in this election.
This is interesting. Look at what he does. Yes, he's speaking, but he brings his teammates in. For Alexis, Alia, Jackson. Look at that. That's really good teamwork, isn't it? So there's this impression he's a good team player because it's not about him. It's about the team. And obviously, it is a fresh face of candidates. So he has to bring all of them together so that they can front this together. So it's really good skill. Imagine if the next time around you're in a boardroom or you want to speak to your team, mention their names. Specifically mention the times where they moved you, they helped you. And this allows people to resonate with you a lot more because you're seen as not just for yourself, but for your team. You stand for something beyond you.
This, is a solid team. We will work very, very hard. We will speak up for you. We will be there for you always. So, let's make history. Vote Workers' Party, working for you.
Ladies,
It's interesting. Well, he has the term. So let's vote history. Now, people love to support a movement, right? I want to be part of something great. And if you mention let's make history, wow, I could be part of history by electing them in. So yeah, he appeals to the identity. Again, this is a buy-in speaking skill. You appeal to identity. Like, this is our shared identity. If you believe in making history just like we do, you support us. Beautiful, a lot of amazing rhetorical skills being used. I hope, again, I'd like to remind that the purpose of this video is not policies, not politics, not whatever they've done in the past in terms of policy, but purely public speaking skills, guys. And I'm trying to look at the different parties and what everyone is doing so that we can learn from it. Again, the intent is what can we learn from them? How can we apply those skills into our own lives, into our professional lives, into our businesses, so that we can get more leads, speak, and become more credible. So I hope you enjoyed this, and tell me what other kinds of videos you'd like. I'd love to hear from you guys. Till next time, guys. Take care.